Yo guys, what's up? It is Detcher here, and I wanted to show you how I made this sound for my new tune, Backseat. So yeah, we have kind of your typical loud, distorted trap thing. So much like most of my stuff, we'll start with Vital here. I use Vital a ton in a lot of my sound design, so didn't really change anything for this tune. Whenever I'm stuck, I kind of just pull open this plugin and stuff seems to work for me a little bit. So starting with a harmonic series, this is just a sine wave with a little bit of width, and we will turn off the effects first and kind of just show you how I would shape the sound right off the bat. And for the syncopation of the sound, if you look down here at the MIDI, it's just pluck envelope on Vital, and then we're just drawing in the MIDI notes. You could achieve the same thing by using an LFO and drawing out a sustained note and changing the syncopation of the LFO, but that's how we're controlling it for this tune in this particular instance. So yeah, we're starting with the old sine wave. So that on its own is literally, let's go ahead and get rid of the effects underneath it as well. That way we can just hear bare bones kind of how I start shaping sound. So basically just starting off as a wide sine wave pluck, harmonic series. So now we're starting to get some of the actual tone out of it, and then we have a saw wave that's pitched up 3 octaves just to get a little bit more buzz on the high end. And I actually left off this white noise, so it's literally doing nothing. So as you can see, the distortion unit here, which is being controlled by the envelope, is going to give us a ton of tone. So you're kind of getting that additive crunchy thing, and then a filter to just open slightly. Little bit of the upper harmonics come out, but just kind of shaping the pluck. And I actually went to direct out for the saw, so that's why it's not being processed within the filter, and you're hearing that over the top. A compressor, just kind of taming everything, gluing stuff together, and then we have a chorus that's frozen, so I'm just picking out these poles or choosing where in the actual source material that we're going to be adding width to, and you can move these around and it'll kind of drastically change how stuff sounds. Right. So picked it right here. Just kind of getting the width and the part of the sound that I wanted. And then the phaser is really what's adding most of the color or giving it its actual character. So we can see there, that's given us a ton of our tone. An EQ, just to roll out the lows, because I opted up here to use just a sample for the sub. I don't always do this, but sometimes the sub in your sound just isn't working enough on its own, so we opted to go with the sub outside of it. And then this rift here is just on the default preset, so it's, not even really filtering much, but we have a little bit of this peak here that's kind of reflected in our phaser down here too. Kind of a similar shape, so we're just making this super nasally. And then with the fuse compressor on top of that as well. This is basically just a bougie OTT, and you can see here we're using a ton of downward compression, upward compression, bringing the attack and the release up a little bit, and then just absolutely slamming it into a limiter, but drawing back the gain just a smidge. Then we have reverb throw, which I actually chose to process different, and then just a glue compressor to kind of bring everything back together and catch some peaks. But really, what's going on in this sound more so than anything, so I bounced this sound in place a ton. So we have here, as we can see, it says lower harmonic, and these are bounces of that. I'll go ahead and get rid of these because I know I didn't use those in the actual tune there. I just opted for a reverb throw here, so we'll go high harmonic, low harmonic, and the sub. So yet again, we'll go ahead and just turn off all this processing and kind of go down the line. Sorry, I'm kind of getting used to the trackpad. I'm used to a mouse. So you can tell that's kind of the exact same sound that came from just this Vital preset down here, but we're going to process it even further. So going with Rift, and yet again, if I'm not mistaken, this is just default preset. I might have messed with the filter on this one a little bit too. Yeah, slightly different filter. And actually, this isn't a default preset. This is achieved by hitting this. I'm not going to do it because you can't undo, unfortunately, in Rift. But if you hit random on here, it's just going to give you a totally different set of parameters for your filter, your distortion, LFOs, the feedback module in here, and you just get random fucking results. I think I saw this from like a Monty Patreon, and I've been using it a ton ever since. So yet again, kind of going for that nasally tone, but with the sub underneath, that really helps cover that up. And then we're using, it's called Spray by Slink. This is essentially disperser. If you have disperser from Kilohertz, you can achieve the exact same thing. It's kind of giving it that typical pinch, lasery sound, if you will, that dispersers are known for. It's giving it a little bit more character. We have another fuse compressor here. I use this thing all the time. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it. But same, right? Downward, upward, I'm compressing the lows more so here. You can bring the thresholds down. So I don't want lows in this patch because I obviously have the dedicated sub, and then I'm boosting the mids a little bit and then the highs a ton. So you can see how powerful this plugin is with bass sounds. It really, I use it all the time. So a glue compressor to catch peaks and add gain back into it yet again. In EQ, same as in the Vital patch, we have the dedicated sub. We're just rolling off some of the lows and boosting the highs a little bit. So you can see that brightens it up a ton. And then this Verb 1 preset that I use, which is just parallel reverb, and then you dedicate the volume to it and then just automate the volume with the reverb on 100% wet. So you're just getting the reverb signal and bringing that back in, and I'll pull up the automation here. We have another OTT after the reverb just to really kind of help bring out the reverb swells and just make it, you know, loud as fuck. You can see I'm redlining on all of this. On this tune, it sounded better to me with everything just absolutely slammed, so I ended up going with that. This Pro Q4 is huge. But yeah, I'm using this primarily as like a spectral compressor. So you're not getting killed in this really harsh range from like 1K up to like 3 or 5K. You could do the same thing with Soothe, but I just like this plugin because you can obviously use it as an EQ and a spectral compressor, dynamics compressor, all that stuff. So highly recommend that. And then Glue Compressor is doing the same thing as it has in all of these instances. We're just catching peaks and using it as a soft clipper, and then just adding gain back into it. And then we have, if I come down here, the exact same plugins for the upper harmonic. So that's just literally changing in Vital, like coming in here and changing what this harmonic series wavetable is. So just getting a higher harmonic from it. So yeah, song kind of remains the same for a ton of my sound design, so to speak, but you know, I think it sounds cool, so I use it all the time. So if you like this video, go stream the tune Backseat. It's going to be out real soon. So yeah, thanks for listening.